is not ruled by luck, it is ruled by law. The belief in luck is the gospel of the unawakened, the lullaby of the slumbering masses, the mirage that keeps the soul wandering in deserts of chance. The awakened one knows that the universe is precise, deliberate, and unyielding. There is no coin tossed by heaven, no dice cast by angels, no arbitrary favor from the eternal. The same law that governs the stars governs your supply. The same order that holds the oceans in their bounds holds your prosperity in divine alignment. Say aloud, I reject the lie of luck. I align with the law that cannot fail. For too long the multitude has chased shadows, buying tickets, counting numbers, hoping for fortune as if the universe were a gambler's table. But the Spirit says, "Send my kingdom is not built on chance but on decree. My order is not chaos but cause and effect." The man who waits for luck waits in vain, for he has denied his birthright as a co-creator with the divine. The woman who believes in NCE shrinks her dominion and hands over her authority to the illusion of randomness. Say now with power, I am governed by law, not by chance. I call forth my good by right of alignment, not by roll of dice. Every event, every increase, every channel of supply is drawn to you by vibration, and vibration is moved by thought and word. It is not luck that moves the mountains, it is faith that speaks and commands. It is not the slip of a number that opens the floodgates of abundance. It is the decree of the Spirit standing in its true identity. Hear me again. The lottery is not in the ticket, it is in the tongue. The winning number is the word spoken in faith. The 99% lose not because the odds are against them, but because their consciousness is against them. They beg for luck, but they will not align with law. They hope for favor, but they will not speak with authority. They cry for a harvest, but they will not plant the seed of faith. Say aloud with boldness, I will no longer bow to tea. He myth of chance. I rise in command, I walk in order, I decree what is mine by right. The Eternal never designed a world of accidents. The seasons do not appear by luck, the sun does not rise by chance. The river does not flow by whim, the seed does not sprout by gamble. All is governed by law, and the same law answers to your word. When you declare with faith, the law moves as surely as gravity. When you believe without wavering, substance obeys as surely as the tide. There is no lottery in heaven. There is only obedience to divine order. Say this until your bones burn with its truth. I am not at the mercy of odds. I am the voice of decree. I live by law, and therefore, I live in abundance. The lie of luck keeps humanity in bondage to fear, but the revelation of law sets the soul in dominion. The law is impartial. It does not favor the rich over the poor, the educated over the unlearned, the strong over the weak. It responds only to alignment. If your mind is aligned with lack, lack answers you faithfully. If your spirit is aligned with abundance, abundance hastens to obey. Therefore, release the superstition of luck and embrace the certainty of law. Stop casting lots and start casting decrees. Stop waiting for fortune and start commanding substance. The universe is a mirror. It reflects not your wishes but your vibration. Declare this now and do not doubt. And I am one with the law that governs increase. I claim my inheritance as an heir, not as a gambler. I live by faith, not by odds. I command my good and it appears. The final word is this: luck is a lie because it denies your divine authority. Law is the truth because it confirms your divine identity. To believe in chance is to surrender your crown. To believe in law is to take your throne. The law is not distant, not hidden, not silent. It is written in your heart, it waits on your word, it moves at your faith. As you decree, so it is. As you align, so you receive. As you speak, so the unseen becomes see. Say it aloud as your seal of dominion, and live by the law of divine increase. I reject the myth of chance. I decree my wealth, and it is established. Hear this word of awakening, for it comes as a trumpet to the sleeping soul. You are not a beggar in the courts of heaven, you are an heir to the treasury of the infinite. The greatest deception that has chained humanity in poverty and defeat is the lie of smallness, the illusion that we must crawl before the throne of abundance, pleading for scraps of favor. But the Spirit of Truth declares, you were not created to bow as a slave, you were formed to stand as an heir. Say aloud now with fire, I am an heir of divine supply. I am a child of the eternal King. I claim my inheritance by right of spiritual lineage. Identity is the key that unlocks the vaults of heaven. Until you know who you are, you will live beneath your privilege. Until you claim your position as an heir, you will act as a beggar. The river of abundance cannot flow tea. O one who believes himself unworthy to drink. The treasury of divine wealth does not open to those who think they must earn what is already theirs. The door remains closed, not because the father withholds, but because the child refuses to enter. Hear this again with holy certainty. The law of inheritance responds only to the voice that knows it is heir. Say this now with power. And I am not outside the house of abundance. I am seated at the table. I do not strive for what I already possess by right. I awaken to my true position as heir, and the gates of wealth swing wide before me. The error of the 99% is not lack of opportunity, but lack of identity. They hope for fortune as if they were orphans in the universe, pleading for a drop of favor. They count themselves as outsiders to the abundance they were born to command. They chase doors that will not open, because they do not carry the consciousness of an heir. But the awakened one, the one who knows his birthright, speaks as a son, acts as a daughter, moves as one who belongs in the treasury of heaven. He does not ask if it is permitted, he declares that it is already his. She does not wonder if it will come, she knows it is appointed to her by divine law. Say aloud again, renounce the beggar's identity. I put on the robe of the heir, I claim my seat of dominion in the kingdom of abundance. When you know yourself as heir, your words carry authority. You do not whisper requests, you decree with command. You do not hope for the favor of chance, you release the law of increase with your voice. Identity determines vibration, and vibration determines manifestation. A beggar vibrates in lack and therefore draws lack. An heir vibrates in dominion and therefore attracts increase. The universe does not respond to your wishes but to your consciousness. If you carry the spirit of lack, the field of supply reflects it. If you carry the spirit of abundance as an heir, all channels of good rush to obey. Say this with unwavering conviction. I am not beneath. I am above. I am not outside, I am within. I am the rightful heir to the hidden treasures of the universe. What is mine by divine decree cannot be delayed, cannot be denied. Hear the prophetic word. The position of heir is not earned by toil or struggle, it is received by revelation. When you awaken to it, you step out of striving and into receiving. You stop living by effort and start living by decree. You cease to wonder how and begin to command what. You do not beg the soil for the harvest. You plant your seed with authority and reap by right. You do not plead with heaven for supply. You speak the word as heir and watch doors, people, and circumstances align in obedience. Declare it one more time, as a seal upon your heart, I am the heir of divine abundance. I wear the crown of spiritual authority. I stand in my true position of power. I receive what is mine by right, and I do not fear, for the law fulfills my decree. This is the unshakable truth. To live as heir is to step into your original design. It is to break the chains of fear, doubt, and striving. It is to move from supplication to dominion, from waiting to commanding, from hoping to knowing. The power of the heir is not in the hand, but in the word, not in chance, but in consciousness, not in the outer conditions, but in the inner identity. Rise now, awaken, and declare before the heavens and the earth, and I am the heir of the infinite kingdom. I receive the wealth of my inheritance. I live in the true position of power, and I command my good to appear. Hear this with the ears of your spirit, for it is not theory but law, not opinion but revelation. Wealth is not an accident of chance or the favor of men. Wealth is the inevitable harvest of vibration. Every form, every coin, every opportunity, every open door is drawn into being by frequency. The unseen field answers the call of your inner tone, as the waters answer the pull of the moon. the 99% toil and strive think. Ing that fortune is created by labor alone, yet the awakened know that the true labor is within, the alignment of the soul to the frequency of increase. Say aloud with unshaken faith. Say, I am the vibration of abundance. I am tuned to the frequency of wealth. I draw to myself the riches that are mine by divine right. The universe is a field of energy, and energy moves by law. Like calls to like, and what you radiate returns to you. If you radiate lack, lack hastens to obey. If you emit fear, fear multiplies its own harvest. But if you vibrate faith, faith draws substance. If you sound the frequency of abundance, channels open, doors appear, rivers flow, unseen supply congeals into visible form. Hear this again as a hammer to the walls of doubt. You do not chase wealth, you harmonize with it. You do not beg fortune, you summon it by tone. Say this aloud with fire, and I align my mind, my heart, my speech, my expectation with the vibration of increase. I rise to the frequency where gold resp. Ons, where opportunity hears my call, where doors swing wide. The 99% wait for the outer to change while their inner life trembles with fear and scarcity, not knowing that the outer is the echo of the inner. The beggar vibrates in lack, and therefore draws lack, even when given wealth, for his inner song is poverty. The heir vibrates in dominion, and therefore draws increase, even in the desert, for his inner note is command. The vibration is the magnet, the frequency is the law of attraction, and the word is the tuning fork. Speak this now as one who knows, attune my soul to the frequency of abundance. I vibrate in harmony with divine supply. I am the song of increase made flesh. Wealth is not distant, it is present but unseen, awaiting the right vibration to precipitate into your experience. Just as a radio will not receive a signal until it is tuned to the right frequency, so the treasures of heaven do not flow until you are inwardly tuned to receive. Effort without alignment is labor without harvest. The field does not respond to the plow alone, it responds to the season, and the season is set by vibration. Therefore, set the season of your life with the frequency of abundance. Lift your words from complaint to decree. Lift your thoughts from doubt to knowing. Lift your heart from fear to praise. Declare with authority, and I am the right vibration for wealth. I emit the frequency of favor. I call forth gold, doors, and opportunities by the tone of my spirit. The vibration of wealth is unwavering. It is not moved by temporary appearances or the noise of circumstance. It is fixed in faith and aligned with divine law. When your vibration wavers, your harvest stalls. When your vibration steadies, your harvest comes. It is not the outer condition but the inner tone that commands fortune. Poverty is not an absence of money, but the presence of a fearful vibration. Prosperity is not merely the presence of money, but the dominance of a wealthy vibration. Change your tone, and you change your world. Say it again with boldness, and announce the vibration of fear and want. I embrace the frequency of divine abundance. I speak as one in harmony with the flow of limitless supply. This is the prophetic truth. Wealth is not given to the lucky, but to the aligned. Fortune does not favor the gambler, but the one whose inner sound matches the song of the universe's endless supply. When your heart is tuned to gratitude, your mind fixed on faith, your word aligned with law, your very presence becomes a magnet to good. People, places, opportunities, and resources rearrange themselves to answer the call of your vibration. This is not fantasy, it is law, as certain as gravity and as precise as mathematics. Seal this truth upon your lips and upon your heart. I am wealth in vibration, abundance in tone, prosperity in frequency. I send forth the sound of command, and the riches of the invisible obey. I live in harmony with divine increase, and I attract fortune now. This is the command of the Spirit. Align, decree, vibrate, and receive. Refuse the lie of randomness, reject the myth of luck, and rise to the royal vibration that moves the unseen into manifestation. As you stand in this frequency, you become the open channel for divine substance to flow. As you maintain this tone, you command the fortune that was always yours by right. Speak it once more as your unshakable decree, and I am tuned to the vibration of wealth. I live in the rhythm of divine increase. I call and it comes, I decree and it manifests, I believe and I receive. Hear this as the voice of the Eternal speaking through the ages. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was the command that shaped the heavens and the earth. All creation moves at the sound of decree. The same power that called forth light from the void has been entrusted to your tongue. You do not beg the universe into obedience, you speak it into alignment. Say aloud with unwavering certainty, my word is the R. Odd of command. My decree opens the gates of abundance. I speak, and it is established. The 99%. Pray with pleading tones, hoping that an unseen hand will take pity on their lack. Yet their words carry no authority because they do not believe they have authority. The one who awaken to divine law understand that the universe is a listening field, and the vibration of the spoken word is its command. It does not obey the sigh of the fearful, it moves at the command of the faithful. This is the great secret hidden in plain sight. Your tongue is the master key. What you speak repeatedly becomes the mold in which substance takes form. What you decree with faith becomes the law that circumstance must obey. Say this now with holy boldness, Sant, I renounce idle words. I cast off the language of complaint. I clothe my speech in the authority of faith. I speak life, increase, favor, and supply. Every word is a seed. Some plant weeds of fear, others sow the harvest of abundance. The law is impartial. It gives back to each according to the seed sown. If your tongue is filled with lack, lack shall be your field. If your mouth continually prophesies failure, failure will surely appear. But if your lips decree wealth, health, peace, and victory, the unseen substance hastens to obey and shapes itself into visible supply. Hear this with urgency. The word you speak in faith is the command of law, and the law cannot deny its own command. Say aloud as you would strike a hammer against the rock of doubt, and the voice of decree in the earth. I plant my words in the fertile field of divine law. I speak only that which I desire to see, and it must appear. The power is not in empty repetition, but in the alignment of heart, thought, and word. The decree of a wavering heart is as wind passing over a barren desert, but the decree of the steadfast spirit is as rain upon seed. The universe does not respond to mere noise, but to words that carry the vibration of authority and the certainty of faith. Therefore, watch your tongue as a gatekeeper of your destiny. Do not permit it to speak fear in the night or doubt in the morning. Do not let it rehearse lack, sickness, or defeat. Instead, train it as a disciplined instrument of divine law. Speak this as your daily command. Sente, open my mouth with wisdom, and my words call forth increase. I decree open doors and they appear. I speak the word of supply and channels are released. I command favor and it rises to meet me. The decree is the scepter of the air. It is the signet of dominion. It turns invisible potential into visible form. Many toil in vain because they have not learned to command by decree. They strive outwardly but speak defeat inwardly, and their own tongue locks the doors they try to push open by labor. Yet one word of faith, rightly spoken, can accomplish what years of toil cannot. For the decree goes forth into the field of infinite intelligence and arranges people, opportunities, and circumstances into obedience. Say it again until your spirit trembles with its certainty. Seek, I speak with the authority of divine law. My word is creative. My decree is final. I speak, and the law performs it. I decree, and it is established. The spoken decree does not beg, it commands. It does not wish, it declares. It does not ask how, it announces what. It does not wait for the right time, it calls the time now. When your word aligns with divine order, it goes forth as a living force, piercing every obstacle, summoning every resource, and compelling every channel to deliver your good. Heaven and earth may pass away, but the word of faith does not fail. Declare this as your unshakable truth. I release from my tongue the word of power. I decree wealth, and wealth responds. I decree healing, and healing manifests. I decree doors of favor, and doors swing open. My word is the master key, and it unlocks every locked place. This is the final revelation. Your decree is not merely sound, it is law in motion. Your Decree is the bridge from the unseen to the seen. Your decree is the signature of your authority as an heir. Therefore, guard your tongue, elevate your speech, and let every word be a deliberate command of the life you are ordained to live. Say it one last time as the seal of your dominion. I speak as one who knows. I decree as one who rules. My words are the key, and the doors of abundance stand open before me now. Hear this as the ancient and eternal command, for it is the foundation upon which all true prosperity stands. The universe is not moved by pleading or by chance, but by obedience to the unchanging spiritual law. The Spirit declares that the law is not a chain to bind you, but a key to unlock the limitless storehouses of divine supply. Those who fight the law suffer lack and confusion, but those who align with the law walk as masters of increase. Say aloud with unflinching faith, I surrender to divine order. I align with the law that governs abundance. I obey and the flow. The gates of supply are open to me now. The 99% wrestle against the current, striving in their own strength, hoping for favor while resisting the very order that governs increase. They cry out for miracles, yet they break the law with their fear, their doubt, their resentment, their disobedience to the principle of divine order. The law cannot be mocked, nor can it be bypassed by clever schemes. It yields only to alignment. The universe does not bend to human willfulness, but to the soul that yields to the eternal pattern. Hear it again as a trumpet in your spirit. Abundance is not won by force. It is received by obedience. Say it with authority. I renounce rebellion against divine order. I cease striving in the flesh. I submit to the higher law that never fails, and I receive the flow of increase appointed to me. The one who obeys spiritual law is like a tree planted by rivers of water, rooted, nourished, and fruitful in every season. The one who resists is like chaff scattered by the wind, toiling without harvest, chasing shadows that never materialize. The law of giving and receiving, the law of sowing and reaping, the law of vibration and decree, these are not suggestions, they are the living framework of the kingdom. To disobey them is to block your own channels. To align with them is to move in harmony with the river of supply. You cannot plant thorns and reap figs. You cannot speak fear and reap peace. You cannot withhold and expect to overflow. The law answers you according to your obedience. Speak it boldly now. I honor the law of seed and harvest. I give in faith, and I receive in abundance. I speak in alignment, and I see my words made flesh. I obey the law of love, and doors of favor open before me. Obedience is not servitude, it is mastery. It is the recognition that you are not the source, but the channel. It is the wisdom to align with the current, rather than fight against it. Those who obey do not diminish themselves, they magnify their power, or they stand under the authority of the highest order. The rebellious exhaust themselves in striving, but the obedient flow in grace and ease. When you obey the laws of faith, you command substance. When you obey the laws of giving, you activate the law of return. When you obey the laws of thought and speech, you shape the vibration that calls forth supply. Say it again as one awakening to truth. I am not my own source. I am a vessel of divine order. I align my mind, my words, my actions with the higher law. I live in obedience, and therefore I live in overflow. The lie of the world is that obedience limits freedom, but the truth of the Spirit is that obedience unlocks dominion. The higher law was written not to restrain you, but to release you. The law was not given to keep you in want, but to guide you into the field of unlimited provision. Every command of Spirit is a doorway, and every act of obedience is a key that turns the lock. The moment you align with the principle, the Omase is released. The moment you walk in the pattern, the power is unleashed. The law does not hesitate or delay. It answers to the obedient, as surely as the seed answers to the soil. Declare this with the force of one who understands. I do not live by whim or impulse. I live by principle. I do not follow the shifting winds of chance. I follow the steady current of divine order. I am obedient, and therefore I prosper. This is the prophetic certainty. Obedience to spiritual law is the straight path through every wilderness of lack. the bridge over every gulf of limitation, the master key to every locked treasury. You do not beg for increase, you position yourself for it. You do not plead for favor, you obey the law that releases it. The law is not moved by tears but by trust, not by emotion but by alignment. When you surrender your willful resistance and bring your thoughts, words, and deeds into harmony with the higher order, the universe yields to you without struggle. Seal this truth upon your lips and your heart as your unshakable decree, and I am one with divine law. I walk in obedience, and therefore walk in abundance. I obey the eternal order, and therefore live in unbroken supply. I step through the doorway of law into the limitless flow of provision prepared for me before the foundation of the world. Hear this as a trumpet blast to your spirit. You were never born to crawl in the dust as a beggar. You were born to stand as a commander under the authority of divine law. The greatest tragedy of humankind is not the lack of resources, but the loss of identity. The beggar prays as though God were reluctant to give. The commander decrees, knowing that the law responds to faith as surely as the earth responds to the seed. The beggar waits for doors to open by chance. The commander speaks, and the gates swing wide. Say aloud with holy boldness, and I cast off the rags of begging. I rise in the authority of command. I am the elect of the law, and I call forth my inni. Rittance now. The beggar consciousness is the greatest thief of destiny. It keeps the soul crouched at the edges of its own kingdom, pleading for crumbs when a banquet has already been prepared. It whispers lies, that you must wait, that you must prove yourself worthy, that you must toil endlessly before you receive. But the Spirit declares, you are not an orphan in the universe. You are the elect of the law, and your good is already decreed in the unseen. The shift begins the moment you recognize that begging is a denial of your birthright and command is the language of your true self. Say this with the authority of revelation. Sin, I release the mentality of lack. I renounce the posture of pleading. I stand in my rightful place as a commander of divine order. The beggar looks to men for provision, hoping for charity, fearing rejection. The commander looks to the unchanging law, knowing that the law cannot fail and cannot deny the decree of the aligned soul. The beggar asks, when will it happen for me? The commander declares, it is mine by right, and it appears now. The beggar vibrates with fear and doubt, summoning only more lack. The commander vibrates with faith and certainty, summoning rivers of supply, doors of favor, and streams of opportunity. The universe does not respond to weakness, but to authority, not to wishful thinking but to unwavering decree. Say aloud again with unshaken conviction, and I am done waiting at the gates of my own blessing. I rise and speak the word of command. I align with the eternal law, and I call my good into visible form. The elect are not those favored by chance, but those awakened to their true identity. They know that they have been given the power to speak and to call forth substance. They understand that the divine inheritance is not a distant promise but a present reality, waiting for the word that will release it. To awaken as the elect is to realize that the throne was always yours, but you had been sitting outside the door, in rags. To awaken as the elect is to step out of waiting and into receiving, out of pleading and into commanding, out of hoping and into knowing. Declare this as a seal upon your heart. I am not a beggar in the house of abundance. I am the commander of my destiny. I speak and it is done. I decree and it manifests. I claim what is mine by divine law, and I receive without delay. The shift from beggar to commander is the great crossing every soul must make to enter the land of unlimited supply. As long as you identify as needy, you vibrate with need and call forth lack. When you take your stand as commander, you vibrate with authority and summon abundance. This is the great law of attraction and manifestation. The outer reflects the inner. Change your position within, and the world without rearranges itself to match. Stop bowing at the gates, and begin speaking at the gates. Stop pleading with life to be kind, and start commanding life to obey the pattern of divine order. Say it again. Until your spirit is steady as a rock, I am chosen by law to rule over lack. I am ordained to command the flow of abundance. I am the elect, and I awaken to my true authority. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the recognition that you were never meant to live as a victim of chance but as a vessel of divine decree. The commander does not rely on human charity or random favor, but on the immutable principle that as you decree, so it is. The commander knows that heaven has already approved their claim, and that the earth must yield its increase in obedience to the spoken word of faith. The commander no longer asks if it will happen, but announces that it has happened in the unseen and now takes form in the seen. Declare it one final time as the seal of your transformation. Reject the chains of begging. I cast off the garments of fear. I stand clothed in the authority of the elect. I command my good to appear, and by divine law it manifests now. I live as the commander of my destiny and the steward of my inheritance.